Let me first say this. I didn't like God.
Oh.
With a passion.
That's a bold statement.
Even in high school, I failed CRE because I never answered any question.
Why?
Because I didn't want anything to do with God.
What? Praise the name of the Lord and good evening. It's another Sunday when we bring to you the Gorgeous Woman Show. As always, I'm excited to be hosting one of the most gorgeous shows because the women and the ladies that come here are just overcomers. They have a positive, perspective to life, and they've been through issues and overcome. And the purpose of this show is to empower, to inspire you, and just to let you know that it's going to be okay. My guest today is Pastor Carol Kamau, and she's widowed, and she'll share with us the journey of being a widow, being assimilated back into the community that you used to live with when your husband was alive, and of course her journey through ministry, because as you can hear, she's Pastor Carol. She's also recovered from COVID. She has a journey of divine healing. So stay put. So karibu sana Pastor Carol.
Asante.
Yeah, so tell us more about who you are, umezaliwa wapi, where do you come from, and just basically who is Pastor Carol Kamau.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Pastor Carol Kamau, and I was born in just here, nearby Lower Kabete. And my mom separated with my father when I was very young, so she has brought me up alone when she's alone, a single mother. We are 5 of us in the family.
Okay.
And also, that is my home. That's my village.
You are almost a born town.
Yes.
Kabete is a commuting distance to the city.
Yes.
Okay.
Because even I was in Ngara Girls.
Yes. Hey, that's a prestigious school back
yes.
then. Yes.
And everything I've done in Nairobi.
Yes.
Nairobi was just like a village to us.
Yes.
Because we would come even when I was in class 2. My mom was at that time working at as a florist at Norwich Corner House.
Yeah, there was that time when...
I come from a family of flowers.
Nice.
Yeah. And I still live there, but because of circumstances.
Yes.
And also I'm a pastor.
Yes.
I'm a teacher by profession. That is what I had done. But I left teaching. I went to business.
What subjects?
I was teaching science, maths, and English.
And English. What made you hate, or maybe not hate, what made you stop teaching?
Okay, it is because my mom had a business at Karen Shopping Center. That is where she used to sell flowers. And when she passed on, she had to leave the business. And my brother, the younger brother, that time he was in Form 4. So I had to resign because I was in a private school. I had to resign and go to the business.
Okay.
But I didn't know that I wouldn't stay for long in that business of flowers, because that is when I had the calling. That one, it's another journey.
It's another journey.
Another journey. It needs another program.
Oh, yes, to share about the journey and the call.
Yes.
And I think many ladies have sat on that chair and talked about their journey and the call. I don't know whether it's maybe because men don't talk, but I think women have more authorities to be answerable to before they say yes to the Lord.
I guess men fear their lives to be known.
Yes.
They don't want the past to be known.
Yes.
But for women, they always want to share what they have gone through to encourage another person.
Woman, yes.
It's very rare even for a pastor, a man pastor to talk about his past.
It is very true.
They don't.
Yeah, they don't.
But women do.
Yes, women
because
do.
they relate well with where they came from and where they are.
Yes.
Because you want to help another woman.
It is true.
But at times it's difficult because at times you're paining.
It is true.
But when you're healed, so
You
if
can
you
be
come,
able to talk
if you
about
come
it.
see me talk,
Yeah.
because I am healed and I was
Amen.
healed. That is why I can be able to talk about it.
Amen. We'll talk about your journey of salvation, your journey of ministry, your journey of marriage. But our viewers, we have to take a break. I can't wait to hear the story of Pastor Carol Kamau. And see you after the break. So welcome back, our viewer. Please make sure you share with your friends and family. Let them know that the Gorgeous Woman show is airing right now. So Pastor Carol, so when did you get born again?
Let me first say this. I didn't like God
Oh,
with a passion
that's a bold statement.
that time. And that is why I always thank God. So even in high school, I failed CRE because I never answered any question.
Why?
Because I didn't want anything to do with God.
What?
Because I thought he was very unfair. Because how can I be brought up by a single mother? And okay, I was brought up in a well-up family, and at those times, people who were selling flowers, because my mom would go to government functions. She was the one who was making the flowers.
And I think it's good to remember that time in almost every government offices, there used to be a bouquet of flowers.
And there were few.
And there were few.
Around town,
Yes.
there were only 2 shops
Yeah.
here,
Oh.
in town here. Anywhere else, maybe in Hurlingham there was one.
Yes.
Because we knew them, we knew each other. Because there were few. So I had everything. Because even the way people talk about, I never went to school without shoes. No.
So what is this about?
I hate, because my mom, she was not there for us. She was a businesswoman, but she wasn't there for us.
Okay.
And
So you felt
I
abandoned?
felt, yes, I thought, I was thinking, if this God could be fair, at least he could have brought my mom closer to us. She supplied everything, but she was not there because of businesses and acquaintances, the way she was with them.
So when you mean, how often would you see her? Are there days that you'd go and you not see her?
No, she would go very early in the morning because she would pick flowers at City Market.
Yes.
And she'll come very, very late at night because she was with friends.
Oh.
So I never saw her until I got ulcers when I was in school. And everybody was asking, why? And you have everything. If it is clothes, it is pairs of shoes, everything. I had everything. But people could not understand me. So I was saying, God, you are not fair.
Oh, wow.
And I never used even to go to church. Our family, they're Anglicans, staunch Anglicans. But after the confirmation, I never went back to church. So I would close school and go and stay with my auntie in Webuye. That is where my auntie, the husband, was working in pan paper mills. So I would close school and go there because at least I could feel loved and I could be allowed even to work, because in my house, there were house girls like so. So that time I felt independent when I go to my auntie's place. And she used to go to church. And she would say, no one is left in the house.
Wow.
That is how I started going to church without even thinking. I was going because she was saying we go. So it reached a point that I was singing in the choir now. We were singing in the choir. Our family sings. Yes. Oh. And when I finished high school, I went again to stay with my auntie. And at that time, I would go, and I was waiting to go to college. And there was a tug of war with my mom because she wanted me to be a nurse, and I want to be a teacher.
Oh.
And so we crossed paths.
Wow.
She never used, I don't know whether it was, I don't know, but I always think it's because I was called after my father's mom.
So you felt you were treated differently?
Yeah, very different, very different. That one, even it was, everybody could see it. Even she never came to school when I was in Ngara. She never came at any function. So when I was at my auntie's place, and I used to go there, and I came back, I became a teacher that time. I did Montessori college. That one, first of all, you have to go teach, and then you are being recommended. So after that, I felt I don't want to stay here. So I went. That time I had a daughter. I had a daughter at an early age, at 19 years. And when she was 3, that is when I went now to live in Webuye.
Now, I think that is somewhere we need to dwell a bit.
Hey, that is...
Okay.
Oh, no.
I'm looking at your relationship with your mom. So and I'm looking at the scenario. And here you say you are pregnant.
I got pregnant. I was married because I was looking for love.
Oh, you got married?
Yes, because I was
at
looking
19?
for someone to... Yeah, I finished high school when I was barely 17 years. So I was looking for love, you know, somewhere, somebody who can love me, because my mom never used to love me.
Wow.
And she never used to hide it.
Oh, what are some of the most mean things?
I guess maybe, it is my guess, because we later came and made up. I guess it was because I was called after, I don't know what, even I don't know that grandmother. I was named after my father's mother. And maybe they had issues, I don't know. But she didn't want. So when I was looking for someone to love me, so when I was told I love you.
Oh, you fell head over heels.
Yes. And I went. Hey, it's a long story there.
Okay, I'm looking at your mother.
So my mom, even when I was going, because she didn't even care.
Oh.
She didn't. And it was nearby because it is Lokabete and Udero. You can see.
Yeah, it's very near.
But she didn't, she didn't care about it. So I was mistreated there. And I left that place 5 months pregnant. I came, even she never asked me, why did you come or what? She didn't ask me any question even when she got me from work and she got me in the house. But she was relating well with my sister who followed me, because I think she was called by her mother. Wow. So that thing, I just continue not liking God, because why? Why allow this?
So even at that age, you're pregnant, she did not even start any conversation, even a quarrel?
No, even she didn't ask me, and she could see I'm pregnant, she didn't ask.
Wow, that must have been tough.
Yes, it was. So when, even when I went to give birth, because I went to give birth in Pumwani, it is my uncle who took me to the hospital, and the wife. And when mom came back, even from work, even she didn't come even to the hospital, even when I was, because I stayed for 2 weeks in Pumwani, because I think forced labor or something, and I was still very young. So even when I was coming back home, she didn't even come to collect me. So that thing was in me. And I didn't like, and I didn't want anything. Even if I could have come and found something that's talking about God, I would just discard it.
Definitely, I now understand where you're coming
from. Yes, I would discard it. I didn't want to hear anything about God.
And how were your sister's siblings?
Okay, my sister.
Were they relating with you normally, or they were also partisans?
We were only 2 sisters because she passed on.
Yeah, sorry.
And now I have 3 brothers. They were young. They were very young.
Oh, you're the firstborn?
I'm the firstborn.
Okay.
They were very young. So those ones I didn't have issues. But you could see my sister could at least mock me or something like that. And because she had given birth before me in 3 months, before me when she was in high school. So we had a house girl, but she would go, and even when the baby was, that was September and November, barely 3 months, she would go to parties and my mama, that she had gone to places to do flowers, and so I would take care of the baby. And I was mad, and when I told my mom, she didn't even care. So when I thought of they telling me that you go to church, I started now having fun with friends, because even in our house, whiskey was available in the house, drinks were available in the house. So we started now drinking, but I was not a heavy drinker, but we were drinking. And even mom could come, or Sundays when she was supposed to be there, she could come with friends and they could drink in the house. You can imagine now how they were behaving, those women. How they could talk. So that
independent women that have money.
So that thing really affected me. And now I have a baby here, and I was a teacher. I was teaching because I had taught in many schools here in Nairobi. I would always be fished.
Wow.
It is in me. Teaching is in me.
Wow.
So when I went to my auntie's place, because I felt now my daughter was 3 years. We went there, and that is how I went even singing. Now in the choir, we could go competitions, and that is how I met Kamau.
Okay.
In the choir, I was singing soprano, he was singing tenor.
Hallelujah.
So when I met him in the church, I didn't want to. To me, I didn't want to get married or something, because I feared now, because of what I got in the other home. That guy could bring even ladies in the house. That one, the first one, the father of my daughter.
And how he was older than you, or he was just a young man?
Yes, he was. We had a 7 years gap.
Oh my God.
So there, and this guy, I didn't know even he was interested in me, because this Kamau, because he was a soft-spoken. He was a guy who was so self-righteous, and he was loved by everybody. Because he was not born again. So when we stayed with him there for some 2 years, then he proposed, and I didn't want a church wedding, but I had no choice. The bishop who was there was happy, and he told us, no, you have to have a wedding. In fact, we did it those sides, Eldoret. And when I had my second born.
No, was your mother excited now that looks like a proper marriage now?
My mom, even she never knew about the other marriage, what was going on.
So even did she come?
To the wedding? This one, yeah, she had to. This one she came. She came to the wedding, and the whole lot of Kabete people, they came to the wedding. And after the wedding, my auntie, my last born auntie, the sister to my mother, was giving birth, and she had a CS, and she went into a coma at Kikuyu, and she was transferred to Kenyatta. After 5 weeks, or when she was still in the hospital, that is the 4th week, my son was he was about 6 months. So as we were coming to come and see her now, I was telling God, even that one, with the newborn baby, and now she's in ICU. So you're not even fair.
Oh.
Because after she gave birth, he didn't even see the baby. So I was telling God. But as we were coming, all the way from Webuye, because that is now where we are staying. I was now a teacher in Webuye. My husband was working with paper mills. When we were coming, there is a man, there is a young guy who was seated, a seat the other side, and he was reading a Bible there. A very young guy in his early 20s. And I was looking at him now, what is so interesting.
Is about this book?
This Bible. And the bus broke down. And I had my daughter and my son and my bags. And this guy decided to help me carry them to come out so that we can be brought another bus. That was somewhere in Tarbo there. And he helped me, and I was looking at him, but I didn't ask him questions. Then another bus came. He took my luggages, and he took my daughter, so I carried only my son. And I didn't think she was doing. I was asking myself, why?
Why is he doing
Why is he doing it? Then after some few kilometers, the bus stopped somewhere, and a blind man entered. A preacher. A blind man. And anytime I could hear preaching, I would just shut my ears. But for once, I listened. And he preached, and he's blind. And after all, he's speaking some sense. So he preached, and then he alighted. And we came up to Nairobi. That time we were picking our matatus at Commercial.
Yes.
And we are in Machakos, the bus stop.
Yeah.
So when I alighted, the same guy, that one, took my bags. Where are you going? And with arrogance and attitude, I said, Commercial, because I didn't understand.
Why is he helping you? You'll hold that thought as we take a break, and then we'll come back after a short break. So tell us, he helped you again?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So when we reached that Commercial, I asked him, why are you helping me?
You are being helped and you are still arrogant.
Yes, because why? And I don't know him. How? What is this? Is it a coincidence or anything? And he told me, I'm born again. And the Lord spoke to me, I help you.
Wow.
Okay. The Lord helped you. Okay, thank you. And I entered the bus and I went home here in Lower Kabete. When I came now, I could not have gone to Kenyatta, so I wanted to prepare. I go the following day to see my auntie. As we were seated at the older aunt who was now left with the baby, me and my uncle, last born uncle of my mother, we were seated. And they talked, and he said, we should let her go. We should let now my auntie to go, the one in the hospital. The doctor said even if she recovers, she'll just be like a cabbage there. And she finished, and she said, we want to pray, but if there is anyone here who would want to say something, say. I was holding my boy. And I started crying. And I told him, pray for me, I want to get born again. And he prayed. That was in 1990. And I became born again.
Wow.
That is how I became born again. And I felt, everybody feared me because I was always...
Confrontation.
Yes. So, nobody at that time. My mom, we were not relating well. Even when I went to get married, I was going. She said some words. You can even go there and... You can go and even you don't succeed. Just because I had beaten her daughter.
Okay.
Because she had slept outside and left the baby. And mom didn't, and she was saying, and you would not let her, the house girl, to sleep with the baby crying.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I'm going to work. So that day, it was a day.
It was a good day.
I felt something. So I wanted even to recover those years. Even my husband could not believe. We had stayed for 1 year and he could not believe because he knew I was always confrontational. I don't know even how he stayed with me for that 1 year.
Wow.
I don't know.
You were looking for trouble.
Yes, always. But when I became born again that time, we were still in the Anglican church. I went back, I told my pastor, a man I love so much, and he prayed for me, and everybody was excited. But my husband was watching at a distance. And after a year, he got saved because he said there is a God who saves.
You are a living testimony.
Yes. So I got transformed and I started liking the things of God. And I would look for anything about God. And I used, even when I was still in Anglican, I would go to conferences, and that time there were those times we were not allowed to go to any other
Church.
meetings. Yes. But I would go like hiding. And I was telling them even Nicodemus went at night. And that is when, after we stayed there, my husband, we came to Nairobi because we were having a business. That was, we had a matatu. We stayed in Kaha West. And I continued when I was still in Anglican church. And even I would go for intercessory in the church, and they would ask me, why are you crying now? They didn't understand it. So one day I decided to be spirit-filled when I was in the Anglican church, because that is my church, my family church. So I had no idea that I can go to any other church. And at night, my husband was in the bedroom, and I went at night in the sitting room, and I told God, I'm not living here until I am spirit-filled. I didn't know it was trouble I was asking for. So I became born again. I was spirit-filled. By morning, I was still there, speaking in tongues. But my husband never questioned it. He was, because it's past tense. He was a guy, he had a rare character.
Oh, he was a blessing from God.
Yes, he was.
And after you got born again, did the relationship between your mom and you
same? Yes. Okay. Oh, sorry. The same night.
Yes.
I became born again. I went in the house and I told her, and she was not born again. I said, oh, that is good. It is very good. And we started talking. And she would tell me, that time now I have come from Webuye, that you come, we sleep in my bed. We sleep, we talk. It transformed, everything changed.
Wow.
Everything changed. My mom, I think she was trying now to bring me closer. She brought me so close because now my sister had changed. She started drinking. She would come and abuse her, like so. Because when I was going that time and I was not born again, I told her, you love that girl and she's the one who will make you to die. So now she was relating to that.
Wow.
And she still could, although she could not tell me, though she told me later on, because she also passed on. She told me, whatever you told me, it is coming to pass. And I was not born again. That is when she was bedridden there. So we came and stayed, when we were staying in there, and I got spirit-filled. I went to the church where I used to go to the Anglican church. That time they were not accommodating people who were speaking in tongues. Yes. Yeah. But I didn't know. Like, what I did, I was told, Mama Kim, they were calling me, Mama Kim, come and give us one chorus. And then there was the market that they were selling things. And then I went, wow, I started speaking in tongues. And the microphone was snatched from me. And when the pastor went to preach on the pulpit, he said that we don't do that in our church.
Wow.
And at that time, I had a cell group, and all of them were speaking in tongue, but he had not known. So he said that here we cannot allow you to continue being here.
Wow.
Because as We don't do that. Our constitution does not allow us like that. So I left. I was told not to go, and there was a pastor I could see somewhere there preaching it was not a crusade, but it was an open air. Mm-hmm. And there's a time I heard him preaching, and I said I want to look for his church. And when I went, it was a very new church. We were very few members, but I joined there. A Pentecostal church. That was my first Pentecostal church. And I was so happy. I was so happy because there's so many things now I am learning. Mm-hmm. So my husband said after some time, I'm coming to visit that church. And when he came, he never went back.
Wow. So tell us, because of time, so what happened? You lost your husband, so that we now talk about the story.
Yes.
What happened?
That is now the next one. Mm-hmm. We had stayed for about 10, 11 years. Mm-hmm. Now we are in this new church. Mm-hmm. And this new church we had stayed for about almost 3 years. Mm-hmm. My husband was asthmatic even when he had married me, but because of the weather in Webuye, it never affected him much because it is warm there. Mm. So when we came here, in Nairobi, the weather was changing, and also the matatu we had, because it was plying number 9 easily. Wow. And you can imagine the pollution and everything. Yeah. So it became worse. And after it became worse, one day, but he was still having a side hustle in the Equator nursing home. Mm-hmm. He's an electrician, maintenance. Mm-hmm. So he used to go once a week to check. So it was one Christmas, that is 1999. And that is why when you said about 36 years, when you had talked with you before, I had celebrated my birthday 36 years, and he was 39. So after Christmas, we had Christmas, and on 27th, even Christmas, in fact, he's the one who cooked for us. And he said, you sit down with your children, I'm going to cook for you. So on 28th, in the morning, he was going to Equator nursing. And when he woke up in the morning, the previous evening we were at his brother's house. We also resides in that area. So, and he would just look at me and tell me that you are so unique. That is what he could say, but I never knew. So that morning he told me, I'll come with supper in the evening. I'll come early. So don't go where you go. I usually used to go to my brother-in-law's house. And when he went, he could look at me, and he went to the children's room. They told me later. And I would tell him, you are going to be late. And he would look at me. And I told him, go. And when he left, it was, I went to my pastor's house, now the new church, the Pentecostal church. I told my pastor I want the keys to the church. And I told the pastor's wife, give me your lesso. I want to go to the church. It was around 8 in the morning when my husband left. When I entered that church, I found that I was alone. It was like this because it had a balcony there, and everything was inside the church. So I closed the door, and I started praying for widows. I told God, is this the way they feel? Thank you because you've given me a husband. I never knew. I prayed for them. And I felt it. So in the evening, there's a guy who stays in our area who comes from my husband's place. It's in Kinangop. We are in North Kinangop. That is where I'm married. Came to my house at around 8:30 p.m. And I had gone to the bedroom, and I told my daughter, when dad comes, and I don't know why I was telling her, when dad comes, show him where the soap is. I don't know why, because he'll come to bath. I don't know. And when I went to the bedroom, I love reading. I'm a reader. I love reading. So I had magazine, and I took one African journal, and I saw that is the time Nyerere had passed president. So I was seeing the wife crying, and I was asked, now why is she crying? And this one is an old man.
Wow.
Why is she crying? And I said, would I cry? That was all.
So there was this conversation about that.
Yes, would I cry? And then my son said, Uncle Karisi is calling you. And I went, and they told me, and he told me, Sami is in the hospital. They knew our doctor, our family doctor. Is at your doctor's place clinic that he has come and he's very sick. And I said, that is asthma. When he'll be injected, he'll be okay, because I was used to that. Because when he's asthmatic like that. And we went with him. And I saw a matatu. And that matatu, I knew it because the owner, we used to give people lines on that road. That is when you could not come with a matatu there unless somebody else introduces you to the cartel.
To the cartel.
Yes. So I saw it, and I saw this matatu, it's owned by a man whom I was teaching the child. And I saw my husband was seated inside alone, leaning on the window. And people were crowded. But I thought maybe because it's time people are going home. So when I went to the bar now to enter so that we can see. But I saw the doctor is standing at the door, putting hands in the pocket. And when I went, another man who was there, he doesn't know me, a drunkard, he said, now what are you going to do there? And that one went long time ago. He passed on long time ago. I could see my brother-in-law was there and then the wife, and they are not even taking him. So when I went and I was telling Baba Kim, come, we go to the hospital. When I turned like that man is the time he was talking, so I knew. So he died in the vehicle when coming, and they knew it. So they brought him here so that they can discard him, so that they didn't want any cases. But they didn't know I know the owner of the vehicle. And I left, my pastor was staying somewhere there, and I went crying. And people came out now. I left him in the vehicle, and I called Pastor. He was in the third floor. Pastor could not even come because they were great friends. The wife is the one who came. Mama Kim, what? Baba Kim is not normal. So the time I was crying, I remembered God told me, there's a time he had backslidden 2 times. And the Lord...
Can we hold that thought and then we come? Our viewers, that's the story of Pastor Carol Kamau. We'll do the last segment, see you after the break. Okay, so now your husband is dead, so that we can fast forward is the last segment.
He
died
in the vehicle.
Yeah.
And when we buried him, I was consoled because I had a church, which I was very close.
Yeah.
But that is where now the story begins. It changed, and I was told so.
Yeah.
I was an usher in the church, and I was called in a meeting by the women ladies, and I was told, Mama Kim, you are a good usher, but women are complaining. They feel offended when you smile at their husbands because your status has changed. And so you have to stop. And I said,
these are married women.
Now I've been called by pastor's wife and some 2 women. And they told me, we have no accusation, but they are offended. So, and because you're a good usher, so you have to stop because your status has changed. That is 6 months after we buried my husband. And I stopped. I went to a team which was going to schools and colleges for preaching. Again, I was summoned. I was told, you should not go with that team because they are married men and the others are youths.
You must have been a very beautiful girl then
I guess
cause.
so.
I know, and you
Yes.
still are beautiful. But to cause a threat like that.
Now I didn't understand. So that one,
Wow.
I defied. That one I defied because I had sessions. Our calendar was full. And I had my own sessions. When I defied, that is not barely a year when we buried my husband.
So there was no support system, no feeling like you're a widow, you need company?
Yeah, company, but maybe with people who are...
Your fellow widows? Or
my fellow widows
mothers.
and single mothers, because they are offended when you speak. Because me, I'm a man's lady, because me, even when I was young, I used to move with boys. Even here, my husband would tell me, your friend has come and it is a husband of somebody. Your friend is here. He was free with me because he knew me that way.
Yeah.
So I thought, I didn't think things change. So I would even joke with them, and I didn't know. So that one I defied. We went to a youth convention. And when I came back, because it was 12 before Christmas, I left them in the mission field, and I told them I want to go to with my children at Christmas because their grandmother had taken them in Kinangop. So I didn't finish the afternoon session. It was on a Sunday. Christmas was on a Monday. I met one of the evangelists in the church. I said, hey, Bwana asifiwe. Hey, we hujaokoka. Why? I thought they were joking. I met the caretaker. Hi, Bwana asifiwe. Pastor said, you're not born again. Then one of the girls in the worship team came and hugged me and cried. She didn't tell me anything. I'm going to my house. When I reached in the house, the sister to one of the evangelists we were with together, and she had come the previous Saturday, she had come to the meeting, came and cried in my house. And I thought, what is it? And you have been excommunicated. By who? Pastor said that even you're not in the mission, you're in Mombasa with someone's husband. I said, no, you are joking, because I was with you yesterday. That is what, and he has said that whoever will be seen with you will also be excommunicated. And I didn't feel, because I loved that man. Even today, he's too close to me. I couldn't imagine him. How can he say that? So I went home. Even I didn't sleep there Christmas Day. I came back and I went into my house. And I was like, is it true? And after 4 days, I went to pastor's house. And everybody now doesn't want to talk to me, especially men in the church. I went and told Pastor, I've come because what I had, I wanted to hear it from you. No, when I entered the house, he was preparing to go to a meeting. And so I met my pastor's wife. And she told me, you cannot be able to see him because he's busy and he wants to go. Then Pastor heard me. She didn't tell me, praise the Lord. But when Pastor came, said, Mama Kim, praise the Lord. I said, amen. You have come. Yeah, I wanted, because I had some things, but because you are going, just pray for me. At least I go with a blessing. He prayed for me. And now they told me, now be coming to church. I have not even known.
So the pastor confirmed that he's the one who excommunicated
he did not. It is because that I was, he didn't say now the things I was being told, but it is because I was disobedient to go to the meetings.
Okay.
I told him, no problem. So I left. And they told me to come back. And I said, no, that it is okay with me. So I went to another one. And where I knew nobody knows me. Then one Tuesday afternoon in that church, Pastor's evening when we had prayers, Pastor came and said, Mama Kim, I was with your former boss. And he said, he regrets losing you and you are an intercessor. From today, you will lead the intercessory. And I said, I weighed and said, intercessory, I would be meeting people, men, so much. Because my CV is very bad.
When it comes to men.
And we started it. And we did well. And we used to go in the evening. With 3 youths came and joined me. So we did the intercessory and it was good. And now, I was sitting behind, so I started coming in front. Wow. So one, I'm just cutting it. It is long and it is painful. When we had closed school, it was in August holidays, I felt I wanted to go and pray. It was 2002 for the elections, and I used to go to another abandoned house there. And I told my children, I feel I want to go and pray. It was on a Monday. And there is food for 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, so I will come. I will come on Saturday, but God will come. They knew I had brought them up like that. So when I went, my pastor, when he was preaching somewhere, lunch hour, he felt God spoke to him, and you go and see Mama Kim. And he was asking why he go to see her, and it was on a Tuesday, she will come for the prayer meeting. When I didn't come, they came with one of the intercessors. They found my children, and he had my son telling the other son, the little boy, he was now 5 years when the father passed on, because he was 5 years. So he told Kim, mimi sijashiba. And Kim told him, kunywa maji ulale. So the pastor got the message. So they went to the shop with my daughter, and God spoke to me and told me, it is okay in your house. So when I came on Saturday, my son told me, Mungu alikuja.
Wow.
Alitumia nani? Alitumia pastor. So to me it was a miracle. So I told other women, if you go to work for God and he comes, how it reached my pastor's wife.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I was summoned after 2 weeks. And they told me, we know that your mission is to make the pastors to fall. Even we have heard that is what you do. Because even you are being done shopping by the pastor. And then I felt, I'm sorry, I didn't know. It was wrong. And then all other women, 5 of them, they came on my side now. So I didn't go. I wish I went that time. When we went, they shifted to another hired leased ground, and it was near my house. So there was construction that was going on. And the church was Maram. So I had my own curtain and a kikoi. I used to go from 5 before I go to pray at 5. And pastor would come with some 2 guys. After they found me praying, and I left them praying. So we never met. I don't know how they came to see the curtain and everything. Oh, hell broke loose. That is why pastor comes.
Oh my God. So it actually was not your battle directly. It was actually the pastor's wife extending the battle of her husband to you.
That is it.
Okay.
So one Monday, I went to pray. And I heard their footsteps coming, but I didn't hear them praying. So when I was standing up to go and pray, and now to go to the house, I found pastor at the altar just watching, and the 2 boys were still watching. So I didn't know what was the problem. When I looked back, I saw the wife. There were benches that time. Benches, we were sitting on benches. So 3 benches, she was there. In the evening, the boys came. Mama Kim, you are free to go. Just leave the church. Do you know pastor's wife had come with a knife to kill you in the church? Because you sleep with the husband in the church. Don't come. And pastor came. At that time, there was a wedding that was going on in the other church that I left. And that guy, we had brought him in church. We are the one who led him to Christ. So even my children used to say, we are going to be in the bridal party.
Yeah.
So I went to the committee. It was in church, and there were also drunkards there. Matatu people were there. But he was told it will not be officiated if I will continue being the secretary. And if my children are going to be in the bridal party. That day, Reverend, that day, I went and told God, what did you say about those who make widows cry? You will also make them widows. The following day, I was told by a man who never knew I left that church, I saw your pastor's car under a lorry at Clayworks or somewhere. I went back to the house. I told God, no, don't allow him to die. I will never say that again. So when I came here, when I'm in this church, I still felt that why are these pastors? Why? What is happening to me? So this time when I was told like that, I felt I wanted to backslide. It's only I didn't know how. I was saying,
you've been walking with God for so long.
Yeah, and pastor came to my house with one of the elder, now this one. Even I was putting my legs, it is my house, I was putting the legs on the table. I never removed them because I have an attitude, I'm backsliding, so it doesn't matter. And then he prayed for me and he told me, I have released you because of what was going on. So I was looking for a church where, another one, because I feel I don't want to stay at home. The next one I went. The wife, I don't know where the wife was at that time. And I used to wash the church because the pastor was far, and I borrowed the keys so that I want to be praying. We used to wash. But I was one of the girls in the worship team was a teacher in the place where I was the head teacher. And the pastor came one Friday, and I said no. I had a phobia. And he told me, I've come because God has sent me to you, that you have my message, and surely I heard. But I never knew where the wife was. Because I have come from FIDA, and they have told me this and this, and God told me to come. So even when I was sharing with him because of the phobia, she told me, don't fear. So when we spoke now, we became close. We could speak. He could call me like, so, Pastor, Mama Kim, I know you are good. That teacher came to my office and told me, you also want to do with our pastor the way you've done with the others. That one, even I didn't wait to be excommunicated. I left. I went to another one. Now, a lady pastor. And when we are doing it, Tuesdays we still had prayers. And the church was also nearby. And when I could go, people, maybe they were coming from town, so they were late for prayers. The only person who could be near is one, and at that time I didn't know he's the assistant pastor or something. He could come. And when we waited for people and time was moving, we would pray. I was summoned.
Jesus.
When you find him in the church, don't enter when he's alone. I stopped intercessory. And I was asking myself, what am I? Oh, is this the cost of widowhood or what? Why? The place where you think it's safe, in the church. And those still, they are still following me, the other churches. They are still following me, saying, be very careful with her.
And they had no evidence against you?
No. It is only one pastor. I was teaching his children. Called me when I was at home. And he told me, where do you live? And I explained to him, I told him, and I thought they are coming with the wife. Because we were close, they were my parents. So when he came at the gate and I saw he was alone, I almost fell down. I opened the gate and he entered. And he told me, I know you are worried. And he told me these words. It is even the times of Elijah. Elijah stayed at the widow's house. And nobody questioned. It is only because people have evil minds.
It's true.
And I have told my wife we come together, and she told me she's a doctor. She told me, you are the one who has been sent to her. It is not me. And you are a pastor. And you can go to the house. And he told me, don't think what people are saying about you. Think of what God is saying about you. And there was a turnaround in my life.
Amen.
I didn't want to minister. I didn't want anything, and I didn't know that even I'm a pastor. I was in the flower business and also a teacher. So one day I was at Karen. I resigned teaching. I went now for that business because at least it was making money than teaching.
I'm trying to wonder what to do because our time is spent. I think we'll have to continue with this story.
Because I have not even this, all this, if I have not said anything. I have not said anything, even those churches, what I went through.
Okay, so if my producer allows me, we can do a second edition. But for us, our viewers, because of time, we have to cut short the story of Pastor Kamau. We promise you there will be a second edition of what God has done in her life. Bye-bye.